Thank you again for having me. I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have about school or about any of the things that I talked about here today. Thank you.
For the question and answers. For the last point, what is the youngest age that you can ask the child to be responsible for him or herself? Like, from what age can you talked about a toddler falling, let him rise. Like, after eating, a child can clean up by themselves. Like, what age are we looking at? Thank you.
So that's a very good question. And there's not a right answer because all of our children are different. All of our children are different. And some children are very capable of picking up their plate and scraping it out into the trash or the garbage disposal and rinsing that and put it in the dishwasher at a very young age. I mean, I was washing dishes. I have 9 brothers and sisters. So my mama cooked for 12 people every single meal. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Think about the dishes. I had to pull a chair up to the sink so that I could reach. I was 4 years old. I could wash some dishes. Our children are capable of a lot. So you just need to decide, because your children are all different, but you do need to have them working early on. Have them take some responsibility for that household. Okay? Any other questions?
Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Well, this is my observation, and I need your guidance in my thinking. You know, I've attended quite a number of graduations of, high school students. And when they make a list of top 10 or the best 10, I observe they're going to have a lot of Asians on that list. Not one school, not two, not three, not four, several of them. And so God can get me thinking, is there something that, the Asians do differently that puts them at the front? First of all, is my observation general, or it's just the few that I've attended? If it's accurate that it's so across, you will know, because that's the system you work in. Is there something we could learn that puts those children at the forefront?
Okay, so I'm going to rephrase your question to make sure I understood you clearly. I think that what you're asking me is, when we go to graduation, the valedictorian, the salutatorian, the top 10 tend to be Asian. And why? Like, why is that? What's different about them? I believe that it's a cultural thing. Their number one priority is education. Education. Their moms and dads work 3 and 4 jobs. And all that money is about educating that child. I was fortunate enough when I was working on my doctorate to go to China, to go visit schools. And everything that the family does is about providing an education for that child. And so the child, that's so much pressure on that child, because that child has to study, study, study. If you have an NFL football player or somebody who's in the NBA, they spend 10,000 hours getting that good. If there's a violinist who is in the symphony, one of the top symphonies in New York, they've probably spent at least 10,000 hours practicing to get to that level. So Asian families invest all of their money and time in making sure that that child is well educated. So that's why. In my culture, my grandparents are from Mexico. Our number one priority is work. We work and work and work. Work is about the only thing I mean, every day I get up and I'm ready to work, and I work until I drop. But like my 10 brothers and sisters, we worked the fields, picking cotton, picking onions, picking whatever the season was. And like that was our life. That's what we did, work. Education was not a priority. My mom went to school up until she was in 3rd grade. That's all. My dad, 6th grade, because their number one priority was working. Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions?
Praise the Lord. You made mention of the child is listening and watching. What about a situation where wife and husband differ in ways of approach to an issue, and the child, when you talk to the child, he say, mommy, allow me to do this?
Yeah, well, I'm going to repeat your question to make sure I understood it. In a family, the mother and the father have different views, different ideas on what's okay, what's not okay, and on how to raise the child. And the child knows this. And the child uses this to their advantage because they know to go to mommy for certain things and to go to daddy for other things. They also know that they can go to mommy, who's going to say yes. And when they go to daddy, because mom will say, okay, but only if your dad says okay. Then they go to dad and say, mom said it was okay, so can I? Yeah, our children are brilliant. They are brilliant. And so really, I know my husband and myself tried very hard. We didn't always succeed. We did not always succeed, but we tried to have conversations with each other in private and agree what was going to be okay, what would be yes to the child, and what would be no. And then it didn't matter who won between me and my husband. When we were in front of the child, we were a united front. We were a united front. And I would never accept, Dad said okay, can I? Because I would say, well, if Dad said okay, why are you asking me? And so, Dad, come over here. Did you say okay? Now, our children still tricked us sometimes. I'm going to own that. They still tricked us sometimes. But you learn how to make sure that you and your spouse agree first before you talk to the child, or tell the child they need to wait till your dad comes home. I want to talk to him about it. We have another question back there.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having this. My question is on a different topic. What is your suggestion on when to have the talk with children regarding, their body parts, regarding approaching the opposite sex? Because growing up, it was quite conservative, and I never had a talk. And I came quite early here, and it was quite a struggle. And especially today, where the children are bombarded every day with symbols and pictures and social media. So what is your suggestion on that?
So I do not profess to be an expert on that topic. And I do not believe that it is going to be the same for every single child or every single family. You need to be aware of what your child is going to be exposed to at their school, with their cousins sometimes, in the neighborhood, and you need to try to stay ahead of it. You want them to hear from you first, so that when they hear it from other people, your version is already in their head. It's not anything to be ashamed of. It's natural. They need to know these things for health reasons. And you'd be surprised. You think that you're having a conversation with them for the first time. They probably already have heard or seen a lot more than you think. If you think right now about the lyrics to songs, about YouTube videos, our children are exposed to so much. So I believe that early is better than later, and that you're just always observant.
The child, they can't talk inappropriate. And over time, I used to be a substitute teacher, and I've realized that the teachers are becoming more and more powerless, in my own point of view, practically useless, actually, because the kids have a voice. Poor little Johnny at 5's got a little voice, and teacher can't have any say. And you've got a kid who's been raised in the household where mom is not home, dad's not home, is learning on the internet, on YouTube, right? And then they pick up all these bad habits, right? And where do you see, what have you, from your experience, when these kids are having these behavioral problems, which is a manifestation of what's happening at home, plus the school can't handle them, what do you tell parents? Like, hey, Johnny's 7, but he's seen a lot and seen stuff that we don't expect a 7-year-old to be saying, and teachers can't talk to him. Where do you draw? What do you tell parents like that? And is there a point of no return? Like one person said, I think a cop came here one time and said, the parent brought this 13-year-old to the fire station to have his child disciplined. And it's like, kid is 13, what do you want me to do? And in a voice we're being told kids have freedom of speech, they can say anything they want, they feel there's no consequences to their actions. Where do you draw the line, pretty much? I mean, it's kind of like a two-part question. Like, where do you not abuse your child at home? That's kind of what I'm trying to get at. Like, this is not abuse, and you're actually correcting the child. And the part that, hey, kids are having behavioral problems in school, and the parents are not really there, or they're kind of there, and the teachers have no voice to help them. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay,
Thanks.
So I'm not really sure where the question is in all of that, but I feel like I have to, as an educator, I have to worry about what is in my control. I can't control if mom and dad are home in the evenings, or if mom and dad are raising their children the way I think they should be raised, because everybody has their own opinion and is entitled to their own opinion about how they should be raised or how much they should be disciplined. You know, when I go to a restaurant, my children know they're going to sit and they're going to be quiet and they're going to eat respectfully. And if somebody's having a little meltdown, we're going to the restroom to have more than a talk, or we're going out to the car. But somebody else sitting right next to me, their kid